what we eat, the quantity of what we eat, the frequency at which we eat it, the combination, and what it does to the body is something that is very crucial for our daily survival. Our body gets nourished by food, by water, by a lot of things we consume, and that makes nutrition a very important topic globally. Childhood malnutrition has become a major issue of public health importance because, as we speak, a lot of children require lots of nutrients. Everyone actually needs that, but during childhood is very much crucial because it has a whole lot of implications on the child's survival as well as growth and development. Nigeria is only second to India as the country of the world with the highest number of children with severe acute malnutrition. In fact, Unicef says that 100 children die in Nigeria every hour as a result of acute malnutrition. Today, we'll be talking about childhood malnutrition. Let's talk health. My name is Dr. Laz. What is malnutrition? Whenever the word malnutrition is mentioned, you usually tend to think more about undernutrition, not eating enough, not having enough. Yes, it's a form of malnutrition, but I like the way the Cleveland Clinic described it on their site. It said it's simply a situation where there is imbalance between what the body needs to maintain itself and sustain its functions and what the body is getting. In other words, everybody has what it needs to maintain itself and be healthy. So if it's not adequate, it's a problem. That's undernutrition. If it is excess, it's also a problem. That's overnutrition. So undernutrition, overnutrition are forms of malnutrition, and it can affect all ages. But today we are focusing on children, and it has a whole lot of implications. So it could also be based on the macronutrients. Remember the classes of food? Let me remind you again. Carbohydrates, protein, fats and oil, vitamins, minerals. Sometimes they also include water. So the macronutrients are the protein, carbohydrates, fats. And like I mentioned earlier, the body tends to need that more because of the energy and all of that we need to do activities on a daily basis. But the micronutrients, are the vitamins and the minerals, which can also be described as trace elements. So we don't need them in very large quantity, but they are very essential to the functions of the body. So where we have excess or inadequate amount of this in the body, that's malnutrition. So how do you identify malnutrition in a child? Have you seen a child that is big, that has big head, big tummy, but thin hands, thin legs, or possibly swollen legs? Have you also seen a child that perhaps the entire body is bloated from head to toe, including the eyes, cheeks, tummy, everywhere? Is bloated in such an abnormal way that you see this person, you know that the child is not really growing as much as one should be. So these are things you might find in our environment. You might find those who are wasted with prominent bones. The ribs are showing up, even the blood vessels all over the place and all of that. And then they look quite normal. They could play around. But sometimes you find them weak, very weak, extremely weak. Anyway, we'll go into the details of those signs, but I'm just drawing attention to things that we see in our environment. These are signs of malnutrition. For a malnourished child, it might show as stunting, wasting. When a child is stunted, it means the child is too short for age. Wasting is when it's too thin for the weight. And this could reflect in various ways. You may hear things like kwashiorkor, marasmus, and these are forms of protein energy malnutrition. So you hear languages like severe acute malnutrition, protein energy malnutrition, and all of that. Obesity is also the overnutrition aspect of malnutrition. But let me quickly run through from head to toe some of the signs you could easily get and why they are that way. From head to toe, the hair will be soft, it will be fluffy, and it will have some ash colors and all of that. It's not going to be as dark as it should be. You know, you come to the face, the bones will be prominent, the cheek will be flat, especially for someone with kwashiorkor. But those with marasmus will be chubby because of fluid retention in the body. To the neck, this part of the neck will be sunken, it will be deep. Then you come to the chest, you'll be able to count the ribs, you know, especially for those with marasmus. Then you get to the hands. Before we get to the hand, is very important because that's part of what we use to measure malnutrition. Whether it's a case of kwashiorkor or marasmus, it rarely affects the circumference, the mid-upper arm circumference. That's why it's a measure to check whether a child is well-nourished or not. So the mid-upper arm circumference, let's from here, so at the middle, you use a tape rule to check it. If it's more than 13.5, it is normal. But if it's less than 12.5, it's a sign of malnutrition. So that's how, for children who are 6 months to 5 years of life, that's the measure that is used to check. So if you have a tape rule, you can also do that. A child might be looking chubby, but will still be malnourished, especially in the case of kwashiorkor, where there is generalized body fluid retention. So you get to the thighs, you know, could be wasted, it might look thin, but coming to the legs might be thin or it might be swollen. You know, there's fluid retention in some signs of malnutrition on the legs. The tummy can be big, especially after eating. So you see this child, very big tummy, sometimes very big head, but looking wasted for most of his body. Lack of adequate nutrition involving micronutrients like vitamins and minerals is also a very huge challenge. I think by next week, I'll go deeper into other forms of malnutrition. But let me quickly round up with this. If you do not have vitamin A, especially for children, it affects their sight. If vitamin D is inadequate, it makes the bone to be too soft. If they lack calcium, it also affects bone development. And so many others, vitamin C deficiency leads to scurvy, you know, some leads to pellagra and other. These are not very common, but they also occur, especially in cases where there is general undernutrition involving both micro and macronutrients. Coming to those myths were being told because of poverty and other social issues that relates to malnutrition. And it's just to discourage children from making demands for those things, probably because the parents will not be able to afford them. So they have to be told those stories so that they will not be disturbing the parents. But they need all those. And we don't need to use myths to scare them. So that's what we'll take today on childhood malnutrition. By next week, we'll go into a bit on overnutrition because obesity is still a major problem and it appears to be rising in our climb in children. And we also give some other nutritional tips. Thanks for watching. My name is Dr. Laz.